Good morning, I'm Rachel and thank you for joining us at Executive Planning Day. Today I'll be sharing 4 key topics that connect economics to our work here at PSA BDP. The topics include macroeconomics, the effects of tax rebate, the impact of tariff and trade war, and finally insights from behavioral economics. Through this topic, we'll see how understanding economic trends and human behavior helps us to make better strategic decisions and stay ahead in changing global landscape. Let's start with the first topic, the macroeconomics and business cycle. In every economy, 3 indicators tell us how well the country is performing. These 3 indicators are gross domestic product, inflation, and unemployment rate. Firstly, GDP measures the total value of goods and services produced within a country. It reflects how productive and active an economy is. When GDP grows, it signals expansion. When there's a fall, it points to a slowdown or recession. Using the expenditure method, GDP is calculated as y equals to c plus I plus g plus x bracket s x minus m, meaning consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports are added together. Next, we'll talk about the second key indicator, which is inflation. Inflation is measured by how much price rises over time using the Consumer Price Index, which is known as CPI. A moderate level of inflation is normal, but when prices are rising too quickly, people's purchasing power starts to drop and businesses also face higher costs. Lastly, we will talk about the last key indicator, which is unemployment rate. Unemployment rate shows the percentage of people who are actively looking for work but can't find a job. High unemployment rate signals economic slowdown, while very low unemployment can lead to labor shortage and wage pressures. Altogether, the changes in GDP, inflation, and unemployment rate show us which stage of the business cycle the economy is in, whether it's expansion, big contraction, or recession. So you might be thinking, how is this relevant to our organization, PSA BDP? By understanding these indicators can help PSA plan smarter. It allows us to forecast demand, adjust pricing ranges, and make informed investment decisions. We can also manage risk, prepare for downturns, and decide when to hire, expand, or save costs. Simply putting in words, knowing where the economy stands helps PSA stay flexible and ahead of the economic shifts. Now that we have looked at how the broader economy moves, let's explore how government policies can influence it. In 2025, the Singapore government plans to introduce a tax rebate for all resident individuals. This will increase disposable income and encourage higher consumer spending, shifting aggregate demand to the right in the short run. Initially, the economy is at full employment with output at its natural level Y star and unemployment at the natural level U star. As demand rises, output increases, prices goes up, and unemployment rate falls below natural level. For PSA, this short-term boost represents an opportunity to increase output, hire more workers, generate higher revenue as trade volumes expand. However, in the long run, inflationary pressure builds. As prices rises, workers demand higher wages, increase production costs, and causing the short-run aggregate supply, which is known as SRAS, to shift to the left. Output then returns to its natural level when price remains higher. This means that PSA must plan carefully by taking advantage of the short-term growth opportunity while staying prepared for long-term cost adjustment. Moving on to global stage, let's talk about tariffs and trade war. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods that changes balance between consumer, producer, and government. Under President Trump, U.S. tariffs significantly reshaped global trades. Before tariffs, free trade lower price for U.S. consumers boosted their purchasing power, though domestic sold lesser at lower price. But when tariffs were imposed, prices rose, reducing imports but benefiting domestic producers. The U.S. government then gained a tariff revenue, but society suffered a deadweight loss from reduced efficiency. Foreign exporters, including Singapore-based companies like PSA, were affected as they sold fewer goods to the U.S., leading to reducing revenue. For PSA BDP, the impact depends on our trade exposure. If we export to the U.S., shipment may fall. If not, operations remain largely unaffected. Understanding these factors help PSA manage risk, diversify trade routes, and plan smarter across global supplies. Finally, let's take a step away from numbers and look at the human side of economics, behavioral economics. Behavioral economics show that people do not always make fully rational decisions. Instead, habits, emotion, cognitive biasness often shape how consumer and organization behave. One example is the framing effect, where the way information is presented influences decision making. For instance, saying PSA has a 99% on-time delivery rate sounds positive than saying there's a 1% chance of delay, even though both means the same thing. By framing information positively, PSA can build clients' trust and encourage uptake of premium services. Another example is status quo, where people prefer familiar routines and resist change. Some clients may hesitate to adopt PSA's digital platform or automation system. By offering training, support, and small incentive, PSA can help them transition smoothly, improving efficiency and satisfaction. Applying these insights, PSA aligns its strategy with how clients and employees actually behave, which leads to stronger relationships, better decisions, and higher innovation adoption. In summary, by combining insights from macroeconomics indicator, policies analysis, trade impact, and behavioral economics, PSA BDP can make more informed, forward-looking decisions. Whether it's forecasting demand, adapting to policy changes, or understanding human behavior, staying informed helps PSA remain competitive, resilient, and strategically positioned for growth in a fast-changing global landscape. Thank you so much for your time and effort.